Hello, welcome. I hope you all had a lovely bank holiday. Even if you worked, it is. I'm back. It's Tuesday. We are at the top end of the week, and it is time for all things contact centers. So I hope now some of you watch this show all the time, and I really appreciate that. And we always say hello, but it'll be good to get to know each other better. That's for existing viewers and for new viewers. So to start with, when you say hello, why don't you say hello on the comments and also add what are you passionate about? Let's get to know each other a little bit. Hello, I'm Martin. And I am passionate, I guess, most of all about football. So excellent. We have Brooke and Phil in the house. Slam Duggan, our ray of sunshine, Bev is here. Also, we have Jordan. Good morning, mate, and congratulations on the recent promotion. Uh, A up, Puds here, and Scott. Yeah, lovely to meet you in person too at the forum. And yeah, apt that Chris has already commented. Great event at the forum last week. Their conference and awards. Really enjoyed it. Um, and yeah, it was lovely to meet you, Scott. And we're going to organise Scott coming on the podcast. So Phil's here, and also is Joe, who I know is also passionate about football. But is that your main passion, my friend? What are you guys passionate about? Phil's here. Morning all. Happy Bank Holiday Recovery Day. Passionate about public service and all things contact center. And when time allows, Crystal Palace FC. Same as my brother-in-law is a Palace fan. Great result. Great game for you guys. Um, Morning. Nick is here. Awesome. Hey up. Dan's here. Oh, I love Dan. And Clayton, how's it? Passionate about all colors ending in purple and also bad jokes. And I can vouch for that. Clayton's jokes are pretty bad, but also in a weird kind of way, very, very funny. But I'm hoping that you all feel like you get to know each other a little bit through this medium, and it would be good to share what are you passionate about outside of work, or maybe it is work. What are you passionate about? Luke's here. Luke is passionate Essendon Football Club and Aussie Rules. I have watched that a few times. It looks great. Um, Simon Duddy, yes, mate. It's been a while. Morning all. Footy has to be my passion. Watching, not playing. And another Aussie, Cameron's here. Good evening. Good evening, mate. Thank you for joining us. What are you passionate about? Is it also Aussie rules like Luke? Or is it something else? Doesn't have to be sport, of course, but Simon, who do you support? Obviously, hopefully, you guys know I'm for my sins, I'm a Tottenham fan. Please don't talk about the game again. The most Spursy thing possible, wasn't it? Um, Phil Duggan, hi all. I'm passionate about spreading the word about equality. Personally, I'm on a mission to represent men and women's basketball as equally as I can. And I definitely, if you're into basketball, I recommend you check out Phil's. He's got a newsletter, Instagram, TikTok. Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it called Courtside? You'll have to please do put in the comments what it is called and the link. Scott, so personally passionate about ice hockey, vinyl records, and the great outdoors. Wow, brilliant. I used to live in Basingstoke and went to see Basingstoke's ice hockey team once. It was great. Phil, hello, Phil. Passionate about golf, perhaps an age thing. I'm a keen football fan, but seem to be less passionate about it now. Well, listen, nothing wrong with golf, mate. And I'm not sure it's an age thing, really, is it? It's an addictive game. Courtsider Hoops. There you go. Thanks, Phil. Um, Courtsider Hoops. Check it out. Definitely. It's brilliant. It's very professional. Sorry, just having a coffee then. Um, Oh, Clayton has to be rugby. Mike, hello, mate. Morning from the north. And since everyone is going sports, I'll go passionate all about things rugby. Although a growing interest in golf is kicking in slowly. Well, Mike, you should talk to Phil. And also, look, of course, Clayton is into his rugby. And here is the link for Courtsider Hoops. Julie's here. Now, Julie's not allowed to mention what she's passionate about because her passion beat my passion 6-1 a couple of weeks ago. So please, can we not mention that? But these are nice ways for us all to get to know each other, isn't it? Yeah, lovely, Julie. Apart from the 6-1, but I'm over it. I'm used to it. It's why I'm old before my time and got no hair supporting Tottenham. So let's get on with a question for you all about our industry. And this was a question I was asked at the conference, actually, just asking my opinion. Here we go. So, just want to. Beverly Hughes music. Music was my first love. Name that cheesy tune. I'm better hearing it, Bev, because maybe someone else can answer. Are you a good singer? Because I imagine you are. Passionate about fitness. In the gym 6 days a week. Gym rat. Yes, Cam. Love it. Professionally, the older I get, the more interested in people I am, connecting with them and learning things that I didn't know. Phil, I completely agree. One of my favorite quotes that was in Ted Lasso from Walt Whitman was be curious rather than judgmental. Be curious about people rather than judgmental. And obviously contact centers. Has Phil got it right, Bev? John Miles? You'll have to let us know. Maybe we could have a quiz one day. Okay. I'm going to please do keep these coming. What you're passionate about. It's a great way for us all to get to know each other. But let's go for the question of the day. Like I say, someone asked me my opinion of this at the conference, and I would love to get your views. How do we best understand customer experience in our contact centers? You're right, Phil. Yep. Quizmaster and Ray of Sunshine has confirmed. So, how do we best understand customer experience in our contact centers and connecting people? Lee, hello. Yeah, really good. Is that what you're passionate about, or is that your answer to this? But it works for both, doesn't it, really? And my answer was that it depends exactly what you mean. I guess I interpreted it as customer satisfaction metrics and what people thought about that by being a customer. Phil, really good point. I think sometimes we talk about customers like they're a separate entity to us, and of course we are all customers. So it's the same as when you do quality monitoring and you say, well, what was this like from a customer point of view? This was an awful experience or a great experience. It's kind of, we are all customers, aren't we? We better understand it by being a customer. There you go. Great minds think alike. Luke and Phil. Ask them and fully journey mystery shopping and full journey, sorry, mystery shopping. And Mike, this was a kind of route I went down when chatting to someone at the forums conference. Was really understanding that whole experience from start to finish and doing some journey mapping. But they were interested in whether I'd seen, and I have, but whether I'd seen agents getting live feedback from their customers via Trustpilot and things like that. And I had, and I'd actually been in a contact center and I was sat with an agent and they showed me a response from a customer via Trustpilot that was fed back to them, and it was kind of meh. I'd listened to the call, so it was quite transactional, but they'd done a good job, and the response was like yeah, it was okay, not brilliant, and it really affected them, really affected the agent negatively. It might have been that I was sat next to them, but it was interesting because I think we are told these types of things can be great for agents, but I think it was just an interesting thing. So I'd love to get your thoughts. Now, Lee was answering the connecting people question. It's your passion. Listen, understand from their thoughts. 100% be the client. Love it, Lee. Cameron, listening to calls, handling escalations and reviewing them, looking at survey responses. And do you look for alignment between those things, Cam, or is it some of the differences and outliers, or both? Phil, this is one of those one of those occasions that I think technology has an important role to play. One of the platforms that I've looked at picks up on sentiment and things that our QA guys or advisors may have missed. This gives a deeper insight and adds to what our guys are picking up on. Interesting. I think we could have a whole session on sentiment and sentiment analysis, because you're right. It's if you're seeing here real life evidence of how it's helping and giving you something that QA or your advisors themselves might have missed. It's given a deeper insight. And I think that's exactly what you're hoping that kind of technology does, right? Nick, what brought them to the call chat is a real indicator of their experience. A website experience that didn't work, a broken promise or expectation. Fix that in the call chat, then go fix what caused it to go awry. Nick, I like it. That's really a kind of full on Genesis point, isn't it? The kind of holistic view as well. Really, really good. What's brought them to make contact with us is really important. How when you've done that, what do you then do with that? Is it a case of working with everybody to get everybody's view on this? What do you think, Cam? Ideally, listen to calls through a quality framework and consider it as a leading or lagging indicator of other CX results. That's a really nice phrase. Lovely sentence that is, Cam. Of course, my previous role was with BPA quality, and that kind of the view of quality, it massively changed for me just in terms of what a superpower it potentially is. But I really do like this as a leading or lagging indicator of other CX results. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. Now, as well as this, please do keep these responses coming. Please do hang on to at the end of the show. There's a something a bit different at the end. I should have mentioned that at the start, but it's only just coming to me. So, do you think, I guess, as well, that are we fully understanding? Are we fully involved in CX, or is there still that little bit of a separation between you're just the contact center, your operations will handle CX, and it's somebody else? What do you think? Hey, Morris, how you doing? There is a lot of hype around the different platforms, and most can't tell the difference between sentiments, emotions, feelings, and behaviors. So do be aware of what the platforms deliver. Well, yes, Morris, and like you, I'm a big fan of Elizabeth Stokoe and her work, and she has a very strong view on this, doesn't she? That we shouldn't be using this type of software to point us to sentiments or emotions, because often they can be misinterpreted or they're plain and simply wrong. But I think this is a good warning, Morris. Nick, the customer service interaction is just a small part of the overall experience. Do departments listen and care about the feedback from customer services? Can they make the changes necessary to improve CX? Yeah, very true. Very true, because they may have their part or our part absolutely clicking. All things are great, and everything else around it might be awful. So it's a really good point. Center is pivotal to the journey. The journey is the experience. Yes, couldn't agree more. How much can CF customer service influence in the organization? Sorry, no. Keep the questions coming. Again, I guess I am biased, and aren't we all? But I think the progressive companies that I've seen or worked with or for are the ones where CS has a huge influence in the overall organization. And another phrase to hit your bingo card with, brand ambassadors and all of those types of things. The contact center really is the beating heart of the customer knowledge, engaging the customer, all of these different things. And organizations that get that rather than seeing it as a cost center are the ones that I think seem to do really well. And that's evidenced in their results and brand awareness and their position in their relevant markets. But equally, I still think we have a lot of work to do, right? Okay, I am going to involve you all again, something we've done before. Please do keep these tickers coming, but I want to share my screen. Let's see if I can get it. Here we go. So please go to menti.com and enter this code 122886 or use the QR code on this on the screen now. I want to get your answer to a question that will be coming up in 1 second. I'm just going to give you a moment. Go to www.menti.com, enter the code 122886 and 6, and then let's go to here. What function has the most significant impact on contact center performance? If you feel like there's a big miss there from I've given you 3 to choose from. If you think there's a big miss, please do let me know in the comments. So you can vote live. You can do this live. So let's see. Wow. Wowzers. L&D and training has the most significant impact on contact center performance. Oh, no. It's changing. This is like final score. always wait until the end with it is a Tottenham fan. So Danny is here. Okay, great. No HR exec culture. I'm hurt. I wondered. Do you know what? It's a big miss, Danny, isn't it? And with your training and influence on me, I should have had it in here. Which one do you feel most aligned with out of those? But I hear you. I do think so. Interaction analysis is important, but I think it is. Thanks, Morris. I think. So tech. Yeah. Yeah. Good shout, Phil. Good shout. But of those 3, is a balance of all of them. Very true. But you can't choose all of them, Morris. Just out of the 3, what would you go for? I mistyped. No worries. I'm a one finger typer. I mistype all the time. I must admit that has surprised me. But thank you very much for your. And Danny, I agree. Hold on, here we go. I have a big history in resource planning, so I definitely know how quick the house of cards can fall if you mess up that. Quality training go out the window if handlers are under pressure constantly. It's a house of cards, though. Everything is interlinked. Very true, Mike. QA, WFM policies are all important to get compliance, but for performance, we want commitment. A committed team will also always outperform a compliant team, i.e., Spurs. Very true. Uh, yeah, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard is one of my favorites as well. Oh, I'm sorry, Danny, I missed out culture, but if you had budget for one, which one would it be? Oh, yeah, great question, Phil. Um, For me personally, it feels like, dependent on the size of your operation, WFM, resource planning, it is fundamental, right? It's a necessity. I'm always a little bit biased though about quality, just because I've seen what it can do, and it's so underutilized in contact centers. It's like a hidden way of boost, a hidden part of your engine that just, you sort that out, you've boosted performance massively. I am surprised L&D and training has won this. Nothing against that at all, obviously, but I am surprised. I haven't answered your question as like a politician then. Okay. Now then, Phil and Brooke, I think you'll like this. I'm going to stop my screen share and oh, Phil, I would tell the board that only one budget is a mistake. Yeah. Very true. Now then, Slam Duggan and Brooke, I'm going to do something you said I should have done last week. I'm going to run. There we go. I ran it. I ran VT. Let me just go. I don't want to, before we do the read along for Contact Babel, Phil Dix, for me, L&D. If you increased your QA scores from 60 to 90%, would we see growth performance as much as if our L&D moved by a similar amount? Wow, that's a question. That is a question. Don't get fixated on a QA score is one of my tips. Yes, run the VT. Dad dances. Da, da, da. It is snazzy. Love it, Julie. Yes, snazzy. You're getting flash with this tech now. Thank you, sir. You wait till you see the end. That's all I'm saying is wait till you see the end. It's funny. Okay. Production value through the roof today. Yeah, VTs. Hope you stay a man of the people. Always. I have no choice. Always going to be Jenny from the block. Don't worry. I'll be living on the block soon. Okay, let's go. We're now in the 200s, everybody, of Contact Babel, and we are on use of card fraud. So we're still in the PCI fraud security section of Contact Babel. And if you remember, we are doing a little read along here. So in terms of reducing card fraud into contact centers, by far the most popular method is pause and resume recording, followed by a clean desk policy with pens, paper, and mobile phones prohibited. I don't know about any of you guys. I've worked in a contact center that had this, and someone will have to explain to me how this worked. But one of our, we did have like a information security team, and one of the guys used to wander around with something that looked like it was from the original Ghostbusters set, and that could determine if people had their mobiles turned on. So if anyone, I just want to make sure I haven't gone mad, but that was definitely an experience of mine. We used to see him walking up and down the contact center looking for ghosts and mobile phones. Manual processing and training is next, and then detect and block tone. Cloud-based, outsourced card details do not enter the contact center. Obscure data entered on agent screen. So I'm sure if Matt Smallman was watching, he'd have a view on this. That it seems, I mean, it's working, right? I guess. So we don't need necessarily to have a load of tech, but there you go. Now, with this in mind, what is the cost? So the effect of cost of compliance on card payments by contact center size. So you can see there's been a significant cost and change in process, 21% on average. 32% say there's been a slight cost and change in process, and then little or no cost. So there's a discrepancy here in the size of the contact center. So it seems that if you're in a small contact center, you reported that there was a significant cost and change in process as a result of becoming compliant, which is interesting. The larger ones, although saying that, there's a slight, they're higher overall, aren't they, if you include slight and significant. So what has been the impact of PCI on CX, on customer experience? I look at this and say there's a significant percentage there, 24% reported that customer experience has suffered. Are you working in a contact center right now where this applies? And what do you think? Do you think the effect of PCI compliance has had no change to customer experience? Has it improved customer experience? 10% said it did. My favorite response on any survey, 12% said they don't know. And 24% said customer experience has suffered. Are you in a similar environment? What would your answer be? Has the effect of being PCI compliant had a detrimental effect on your delivery of customer experience? No change, or has it even improved it? What do you think? Please do just comment. We're coming up to some bits that I really like. I do think this is still interesting, but there's a couple of bits I really like here coming up. Okay. Everyone is stunned. So, training for agents. I found this fascinating, actually. No extra training. Here we go. Sorry. Increased security default to have changed the experience. Dead right, Phil. Significant is a rather woolly term, isn't it, compared to what it cost before, losses through fraud, losing customers. Very true. Very true, Nick. Dan, I think the journey can still be super smooth. Love DTMF masking. Customers also want assurance of their details being safe. I would agree. Super smooth. Love that. Isn't this interesting? On average, right? So the yellow is average. When it came to PCI, 24% had no extra training. By far, the most popular is regular computer-based training. You know, when people just click the button as quickly as possible to get through it. Although this was, I guess, reassuring, constant monitoring and one-to-one training, regular classroom training and refreshers being the least popular. I think this is really sad, actually. We need to do more. So if you're in a small contact center, when it comes to PCI, in 43% of the respondents gave their agents no extra training. Wow. No training required, just possibly awareness. If changes in compliance driven by the tech could be the reason. Yeah, true. True, Phil. Very, very true. Great show as always. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks, Morris. See you later, mate. Watch the rest on the recording. You've got to stay for the end. Okay, so next one. This is great. So rather than just survey contact center decision makers, you can see here Contact Babel carried out a large-scale survey of the public that explored why customers hate queuing to speak to a contact center agent, yet seemed far more acceptant to wait in an actual physical queue, often for a longer time. And what a lovely point to start, that you're more likely, and I think I would agree with this, I'm more likely to queue physically than I am on the phone. Do Do you feel the same way? But look, let's have a look at the reasons for disliking queuing. And this is average score from 10, where 10 is extremely frustrating. And then we have the percentage of public scoring this at a maximum 10. So 61% of the people surveyed, their main reason was not knowing how much longer you'll have to wait, followed by repetitive announcements, having to restate account information already given in the IVR. Can't do anything else in the meantime. Come on. Should be able to multitask. And the music you have to listen to. Let's just pick up some. Depends if you introduce new compliance by bolting it on or by redesigning your approach from the ground up, so it feels more natural and less clunky to the customer. Very true, Mike. Nick, surely training is needed to inform why it's necessary, the cost of not being compliant, etc. I agree. But don't you find this is fascinating, isn't it? My personal my personal peeve, the did you know you can do X online messages? Yes, I do. I've done that already. Yes, I wonder how many people shout that to the IVR. We love a queue here in the UK. My mum would queue for a queue. If you walk past a queue, are you tempted to join it? This isn't very British. We love a queue. Absolutely, we do. National stereotypes. Cameron, if you're still there, and Luke from Australia, do you guys love a queue? I think this is a little tongue in cheek, though, isn't it? Not knowing how much longer you'll have to wait. 61% rated that as 10. Extremely frustrating. So I wondered, I seem to remember some people kind of taking away that where you were in the queue and how much longer was estimated, when it seems that actually people would benefit from knowing that. Maybe they should say, actually, you're going to queue less than, oh, I'll get to that. Hang on. I love jumping a queue. Of course you do, Luke. I hope this survey informs vendors how to keep people happy while waiting. In a physical queue, you can speak to the next person. Maybe introduce a chat room where we can grump together while waiting our turn to speak to an agent. Do you know what, Nick? I really, really like that. Talk to your queue neighbor. Do you want to talk to your queue neighbor? Press 2. From a culture point of view, you can tell how much we love a queue when you see the outrage about Phil and Holly. Oh, yeah. Or if we encounter other cultures that don't queue, Russians on holiday, for example. Completely agree with the physical queue. You can see the queue moving and get a sense of progression, something a lot of contact centers miss. That's not how we do things around here. Possibly took away the wait time for fear of it being emphasized in the press. Now, Julie, it's like you've set me up here. Look at this. This is probably my favorite bit. This is the perception versus the reality. So by asking the public again, so they asked the public in the other one, they asked the public again, what do you think the perception is? And you can see that the perceived wait time is here on the right, and that 55% said believed that the average was more than 5 minutes. 36% was 2 to 5 minutes, when in reality, for 58% of contact centers, the wait time is 1 minute or less. 16% is 1 to 2 minutes, 14% is 2 to 5, and then only 12% of those surveyed in contact centers, it's more, the wait time's more than 5 minutes. When the public believe that this happens in 55% of the time, they have to wait more than 5 minutes. Now, when we talk about improving the perception of our industry, this surely is a Pareto moment where we can absolutely zero in on this and say, did you know that it only happens in 12% of the time that actually 58% of our wait times are a minute or less. Let me just have a look. Danny Wareham or Australians. In all seriousness, to mitigate some of this, if your expected wait time is over 2 minutes, we will hold your place and indicating how long we will call you back so you can get back to whatever you were doing. Or you can wait. Very true. Thanks, Dan. Phil, the tech is so available and cost minimal for IVR status. 6 in queue, answered within 3 minutes. Surprised at how many centers don't have it. The perception from callers is always ages, even if it is a few minutes. There you go, Phil. Although not appropriate for all companies, brands, and products. But to your thing about perception, here you go. Look at this. Staggering, isn't it? So we've done queuing. We have done some of the PCI stuff. We're now on another favorite topic, callbacks. So, do you have callbacks in your contact center? Use of callback routing, screen pop, and queue announcements by contact center size. You can see that queue position, wait time announcement is only the 4th most used, really. Call routing is based upon IVR or speech recognition. Here we go. Sorry, let me just catch up. Is customer perception of higher waiting times actually a good thing for some businesses, as would push a number to self-serve or choose other channels? Very true. Mike, Phil Dix, that'll always be the case because typically they don't want to have to contact them. And so 1 minute is 1 minute more than necessary if something didn't go wrong. Very true. So again, here, Phil, I think you mentioned it's surprising that queue position, even website callback options, is very, very low. Telephony queue of callback options, screen pop based on IVR, call routing based upon IVR or speech recognition, by far the most prevalent. Now then, let's have a look at types of callbacks. So, respondents offering a telephony callback option were asked to state which type of callback were presented to callers. 2/3 of respondents that offered callback functionality allowed callers to request a FIFO callback, with significant minorities allowing customers to specify a scheduled time. And in this instance, FIFO is first in, first out. Now, when I started working, I had a regional manager that had a very different FIFO. If you questioned anything, she used to reply FIFO, which was fit in or, and then I'll let you do the rest. So it wasn't first in, first out. What do you think of this? So types of callback: holds the caller's place in queue, then calls once they're at the front. 67% of respondents offered that as the methodology. Then it was timed, then forecast based, and then finally, in only 12% of the time, caller can specify a day to be called back on. I'm surprised. Phil, yeah, none of these. That was for the previous slide, isn't it? Manual, written in my notepad. Callbacks, yeah, that's certainly something I did. Feels GDPR peeps fuming. Bev, are you talking about this? The FIFO. So we've made really good headway, people. Some really interesting sections. I think this one is my absolute favorite of this section about perception and customers' perception versus the reality. And perhaps that is an area that we could do something with to improve both customer experience, but also the perception of our industry. Thank you, as always, for your contributions. Now, here we go. Hang on. Wonder what the contact rate is against them. Forecast based suits us, but perhaps not callers. Very true. Hey, Youssef, how you doing? Every interaction is a transaction. I wonder how many companies have the ability to share call waiting announcements, but don't know how or even where they can. Very, very true. Now then, I said It's good to be back. Hope you all had a lovely bank holiday. I am going to run another VT now. I hope you stick around for this. And I hope to see you all next Tuesday.